recently given birth to a daughter. You're not married. Tell me, what have been the most difficult moments of the past 9 months?
Well, the first difficult moment came when I learned I was pregnant. The second difficult moment was when I told the father. But I'm sure the most difficult time is yet to come when I have to give her up.
What was the attitude of the father of your child toward the situation when you told him you were pregnant?
Well, we've been going together for 3 years, and after all that, he just said it's my problem and to solve it the best way I know how.
ABC Scoop, the wide world of people and events. This week, Unwed Mother, a report by women who have loved out of wedlock and now must face the consequences. Here with that story is ABC News correspondent Murphy Martin.
In our society, the word bastard is an insult, a term of contempt used to imply an inferior being. Yet, an estimated 8 million Americans are illegitimate, and the problem is growing. 5 years from now, there will be 2 million more. During the short half hour of this program, 16 babies will be born out of wedlock in the United States. The rate for illegitimate births will run close to 300,000 this year. The figure would be higher still but for hasty marriages and abortion. 1 out of every 5 teenage brides is pregnant when she marries. The abortion rate for all women, married and unmarried, exceeds 1 million a year. Who is the unwed mother? Is she a tramp, a neurotic, the girl from the wrong side of the tracks? Perhaps you may feel she is not the kind of girl you would want to invite into your house. We will meet some unwed mothers in a moment. They have come forward as a public service and they speak frankly. When you have heard them, you may understand why the unwed mother could be your daughter.
Murphy Martin will return to the story of Unwed Mother in 1 minute.
What happens to an unmarried girl who finds herself pregnant? Many turn to the numerous homes for unwed mothers across the nation, like the home at the Salvation Army's Booth Memorial Hospital in New York. Here they can find help and direct our society to the first stone. Unwed House, also in New York, cares for more than 1,100 girls each year, under the direction of Miss Charlotte Andrus.
Unwed House prides itself on serving a cross-section of young womanhood. We have girls who come from broken homes, girls who have never known either of their parents, girls who may have known only one parent. We have girls who come from intact families where they've had a happy family life. We have had girls who had PhD degrees at Unwed House, and we have had girls in the 3rd grade. We serve girls of all races and all creeds and of all national backgrounds. And in a year we may serve girls that are 10 years old and some even as old as 41 or 2.
How does it happen? And how do they feel? This is a teenage couple.
John and I had been dating steadily for about a year and a half. And we were beside each other all together too often. We were left alone too often, had too many opportunities to be alone because my mother worked at night and his father's a merchant marine and his mother went off quite a bit. And there was always an empty house practically. We saw each other too much. I guess every time we resolved not to let it happen again, but we left alone again. It happened.
Did you ever consider using contraception?
Well, I knew little about contraception devices, and I did use it a couple of times. When we first started doing it, then after that, I didn't use it no more.
Is it general for teenagers you know to have sexual relationships?
Most all my friends have. When we've talked about sexual relationships with girls, certain girls, I don't know. It's sort of like a big thing, you know. If you haven't done it, you're a sissy. Something wrong with you.
Mom, I was going with the boy for about a month and a half, and then I slept with him, and I got pregnant the first day. I was a virgin, and I told him, and he was most happy. His very first reaction was he smiled, and he told everyone he was going to be a father.
Were you in love with him at the time?
I don't know for sure. I couldn't say. I don't think I could have really been in love with him after a month and a half. But it must have been close to love because it was the first time I had ever slept with any man.
Since I've been here, a lot of things have been happening. And a couple of weeks ago, he got married.
The father of your child is now married.
Yes, he is.
Do you still love this man?
Yes, I do.
If he had not been married, would you have married him?
Well, that's funny because I don't think I would. Because after all that, I see that it wasn't worth it. And if he had done all this already, then he's not a person that I would want to be stuck with for the rest of my life. And
has this affected your thinking and attitude toward men in general?
well, it has because I feel that men are irresponsible. What I mean by that is because when they want pleasure, but when things happen, the majority of them don't stick by you, and then after everything's all over, they come back. And probably if he didn't get married, and when I had the baby, he would want, come back, because I saw him, and he asked me, could he see the baby? And I don't think he deserves to see the baby when it's born.
You will never let him see the baby?
Not if I can help it.
I told the father of the child right away. Before that time, when I suspected I was pregnant, I'd spoken to a priest who was also my confessor, and also the doctor, a doctor that I knew. So finally I knew for sure, and I told the father of the child, and his reaction was very different than what I thought it would be. He said tough.
He said that he would marry me to give the child a name if I intended to keep it, and he would support it. But I don't think I'm going to be able to keep it.
The father of his child has said that he would marry you and make a home.
But no, he won't marry me and live with me. He'll just give the child a name. So I won't have a home for the baby, and I don't feel this is fair. I would have to have a home before I could give a baby a home.
The father of this girl's unborn baby lives in a city 3,000 miles away from the home in which she took refuge after she became pregnant. He expresses the feelings of many unwed fathers.
Nancy and I have talked about getting married. It seems to be the worst idea, really. In the long run, I don't think it would be fair to anyone involved. I don't believe it would be a successful marriage. I think it would end in a divorce eventually, which wouldn't be fair to the child. I don't think it would be fair to Nancy or myself either.
What do you feel?
I'm not really sure what I can do for Nancy other than to write her as much as I can, contributions, With regard to the child, I assume that she's planning on putting the child for adoption. I can't see any other solution in this.
St. Elizabeth's Infant Hospital in San Francisco has been caring for unwed mothers for 44 years. The mother and those of the unmarried father have long concerned the home's chief counselor, Sister Ann.
Well, many of the girls that we have had here, and especially with the teenagers, their lack of communication with the parents. Many of them will say, one of the first things they'll say, well, I just can't talk to my parents, or my parents don't talk to me. They just don't have the time for me to talk with them.
And what do the parents say? These parents are from an upper income group. Their daughter is 17 years old.
I was outside taking things out of the car. It was a Sunday, and she came out, and I said, Mother, I think you better sit down. And she told me. And I can't exactly remember. I know I was shocked. But immediately I felt terribly, terribly sorry for her.
How do you feel about the young man who made your daughter pregnant?
He's a nice boy, roughly the same background as our daughter. Real nice boy, like the boy next door.
And how do you feel?
Well, I think this is the natural reaction.
Yes?
I distrust him.
Has he expressed any interest in marrying your daughter?
At the beginning he did. Now he doesn't think it's a very good idea.
Does she love the boy?
She thinks she does.
And does that bother you that she thinks she does?
It bothers me because I don't think she knows what love is at 17.
At group therapy sessions at Unwed House in Manhattan, led by psychologist Dr. Henry Lowenheim, many girls expressed criticism of their parents.
How do you wish your mother would have acted to you when she found out that you were pregnant? You must have had some thoughts about that quite a bit, I would think.
Well, I wish she would have been more realistic. And I wish she could have controlled herself more than she did.
How do you wish she would have been more realistic?
Well, this might sound a little cruel, but it's true. I saw her a couple of months ago, and I wasn't even showing that much, and she looked at me like I was a leper. And I said, you don't have to look at me that way.
She didn't touch the leper. I think you wanted her to touch you then.
Probably.
What should be done to help solve the problem of the unwed mother? We will consider that question when we return in 1 minute.
Better sex education is often advocated as a means of reducing the numbers of unwed mothers. This is only a partial solution in the view of Dr. Alan Guttmacher, president of the Planned Parenthood Federation.
There are two ways of solving the problem of the unmarried mother. One is elimination of extra intercourse, and the other is to provide adequate, effective contraception for all extramarital sexual exposures. I think that many of us in the older generation feel that the former is preferable, and that is the elimination of extramarital relations. But I think those of us who worked in the field are realistic enough to realize that this is impossible. Now, some may quarrel and say, well, it is possible, but the facts of life speak against this. Therefore, my feeling is that we have to inculcate into the younger generation a feeling of complete sexual responsibility. We have to make them realize that it's an unthinkable thing for people unmarried to have sex relations without the full benefit of effective contraception.
No matter how much information that you will give these young girls about birth control, it will not help them one bit. Furthermore, the idea is not birth control. It is to stop the sex acting out that these children are doing. That is the idea. A lot of them know about sex control. But when you ask them, especially the boy, did you do anything to prevent this girl from becoming pregnant? No. We never even thought of it. And furthermore, these girls and boys, when this happens, it is not because that they it is premeditated, but it is something that happens that they are not able to control themselves. They haven't been taught self-control. If they were taught self-control at home, if they were told what they can expect when they go out on a date, well, then this would not happen. It's not the idea of sex control. It's the idea of controlling themselves.
Abortion is often the first solution considered by girls who become pregnant outside marriage. But illegal abortion is dangerous, and there are both religious and medical reasons for rejecting the idea.
At any time during this pregnancy, did you ever think of abortion?
Yes, I considered it in the beginning. And actually, I think if I'd told anyone sooner, it might have been the outcome of it.
If you had told anyone sooner, to whom are you referring?
Well, my parents in this situation. They didn't know that I was pregnant until I was 4 months, and by that time it was too late.
Did you and your boyfriend discuss abortion together?
Yes, we did. And the main fear was that it would in some way harm me.
I called my father when it happened, and I told him, would he come down and talk to the fella? And I said, well, maybe by this it would give him encouragement. And he told me, he said I should have got in touch with him earlier so that he could got rid of the baby for me. And
your father said this?
Yes, he did. And after that, I mean, I still love my father because he's my father, but I have no more respect for him.
Giving up the baby for adoption is the price the unwed mother must pay to avoid being ostracized by society. 80% of girls in the homes for unwed mothers surrender their babies, but there is often a small consolation.
We do believe that the girls should see their baby. We do believe that the boy should see the baby. This is her baby. She carried this baby for 9 months. She is the one who went through the delivery, and we do believe that she should see this child. We asked her to see it. Some of the girls do not want to see the baby and are adamant about not seeing it. Well, there's nothing we can do about it, but they are few and far between. And the reason why we believe that these girls should see these babies is so they will face reality. This baby has been born. This is a child that I had. And not only that, the girls who do not see their baby will write in later and say, I thought of my baby or I dreamed of my baby, and all I saw was a blank space.
For Nancy, the need to surrender her baby for adoption seems inevitable. The final decision must be made in 2 months after her baby is born.
It's going to be very hard for me to give the baby up.
Maybe because I care about the father. Maybe because my mother abandoned me and I don't want to abandon my baby. And just because it's my baby and it's a part of me. I'm not the kind of person who wants to be around children all the time, who has a great passion for taking care of children and being around them, but I do love them. And I think it's very important how they develop when they're very young, as to what kind of a person that child will turn into when it's older. They are little people that have minds of their own. They want to do as many things in as little time, the little time that they have. I'm always going to wonder where the baby is, what kind of life it has, and what its parents are like, who it looks like, and what kind of person it's going to turn out to be or is. I wish there was some way I could change everything.
I had made my decision a long time ago because I do not feel that it would be fair to the child to keep it for myself because the child would not have a father.
What chance did you have to be with the child after it was born?
Well, here you may go to the nursery window and see the baby, like when they baptize the baby. And every day at a certain time you may see the baby for a few minutes, but only through the glass. Then on the day the infant leaves the hospital, you may spend an hour with the baby. Hold the baby, feed him, clothe him, and I guess you try to cram a lifetime of love into an hour. It's very heartbreaking. But it's something you have to do.
We have seen the unwed mothers. They are not the bad girls they were once thought to be. In fact, they're neither good nor bad. They're just like anyone's daughter. Anyone's daughter, that is, who ever made love outside marriage. But the difference is, they got caught. We live in a society that offers every incitement to sex, yet cannot face the consequences. We live in a society that scarcely frowns on premarital intercourse, yet spurns the girl who gets pregnant. We live in a society that stigmatizes her illegitimate child. Yet we are not entirely hypocrites. Most of the social workers who care for the girls in the many homes for unwed mothers do so with humanity and understanding. But there is no easy answer to the main problem. Wider use of birth control, legalized abortion, better sex education. These are some of the solutions suggested by experts, but they do not get to the heart of the matter. Our society must make a choice. Stop enticing our daughters to bed, or stop branding them outcasts when they get caught. This is Murphy Martin in New York.
We'll return with a look at next week's ABC Scoop in just 1 minute.